Today on Kicks Chronicles, we chat life and kicks with presenter, host, and Sneaker Sisterhood founder, Giulia Zecchini. We get into the kicks that she loved growing up in Milan, Italy. We touch on her love of basketball, and I even challenge her to a sneaker battle. Performance basketball shoes, her top 3 versus my top 3. We also talk origin stories of one of the largest female-led sneaker communities in the world, Sneaker Sisterhood. And lastly, I asked Giulia what being a sneakerhead truly means to her. This is Kicks Chronicles. Yes, my people, Big PROZECH back again, and you already know what it is, man. Episode 92 of your Sneaker and Lifestyle podcast, Kicks Chronicles. Once again, I'm your boy PROZECH. Welcome. Thank you for everyone that is here, joining me right about now, whether it be the morning, the evening, the afternoon. God bless you, man. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really do appreciate it. Episode 92, can't believe it. We're cooking with gas. You get me? Things are definitely moving. Last week, we had the pleasure of putting out part 2 of our great interview with the Firm Friday lads, Max and Jack. Shout out to the boys. You get me? They did their thing. And yeah, man, been a very, very interesting week. First and foremost, obviously, thank you for everyone that managed to go check out the episode. If you didn't, it's available everywhere you get your podcasts. All of the regular podcasting platforms is available. Make sure to go check that out. Share it with a friend that likes kicks and podcasts. This week has been an interesting week. Really stop-start with everything that's going on in the background. You know that your boy's steady cooking. You get me? Everything's just sort of like, we're trying to get some stuff down. Managed to firm up a date. So a date is in the diary, right? I'm bringing you guys along. Can't tell you what the date is yet. But you will know in due course. And for those that I don't even know if I've said it. I'm talking about Kicks Chronicles 100. This is the thing that is on the top of my neck right now. Like it's really a celebration of a milestone. But also, I'm not the type of person that likes a load of attention, unless it's in the DMs jokes. You get me? Like, so, like, all of this focus and all of this about trying, because I want to do an event, and obviously I want you guys to be there. But yeah, it's just a lot of energy, getting my head around all of the various different bits, and getting all my ducks in a row. But good news will be coming very, very soon. Also, really, really good news. A friend of mine has recently started a clothing line. And I was just looking over the website, and your boy done good. I have to be honest. This ain't a sponsored thing. This is just a thing of like, I'm kind of proud of this guy for what he's done. The website is called The Other Layer. Very, very cool name. Kind of giving me sort of very muted, oversized, sort of Uniqlo, just like a very clean aesthetic. Really, really looks amazing quality. I haven't actually had the opportunity to get in hands because literally the website just opened. But once I got my money up, I'll be able to definitely get involved. But shout out to Bolade and his boys for bringing this together. It looks so clean. The quality looks fantastic. The rollout has been great. I know he's received a lot of support online, but for those that don't know, The Other Layer is definitely about keep your eyes peeled because these man are not here to make up the numbers. You get me? There's a lot of brands out there focused on graphics and logos. Some need to focus more on quality. And I feel like this is really where Bolade and the guys are really focusing. So yeah, remember the name, the other layer. Shout out to my boy. Moving on to today's episode. Very, very cool. Somebody I've been trying to talk to for a little while. And our conversation, I absolutely loved it. As I said at the top of the show, our guest this week is Giulia Zecchini. Look, what an amazing name. Giulia with a G, number one, because she's a G. And Zecchini, because, like, I'm saying, like, it's basically my name, just like Italiano version of it. So definitely we're definitely kindred in that respect. She's a presenter, she's a host, content creator. You'll see her all over your small screens, but also one of the founding members of the Sneaker Sisterhood. And we get into everything. She grew up in Milan, Italy. A lot of you will know my wife also grew up in a similar region in Italy as well. So we had that in common. She's a basketball fanatic from early. You get me? She's just not jumping on now. You get me? She's been doing this. You get me? Presenter for FIBA, the Euro Women's League as well. Like, she's out here doing her thing. A lot of work with GB basketball as well. She's been out here. You get me? Her credentials in basketball are like, I'm saying, like, I ain't got to say that. And that's probably the reason why, because I don't shirk from no challenges. You get me? In fact, I'm the one that lays challenges down. You get me? So when I firmed up that she was going to be on the podcast, I knew what I was going to do. Yeah, I was going to challenge her to a sneaker battle. Performance basketball sneakers. Because who else could do it better? You get me? So we go head to head on performance basketball sneakers. Very, very important. No Jordan brand. I'm saying we're talking about what the ballers wear, what the actual ballers wear. So very, very, very cool. As I said, we do touch on the origins for Sneaker Sisterhood as well. Really, really cool how that group, because I've looked and I think there are various different women's groups, but I think Sneaker Sisterhood is certainly, in my estimation, the largest female-led sneaker group on online, on socials. They've got a massive following, nearly 16,000 followers, and they do events. They've just had their 5-year anniversary earlier on this year. So yeah, very, very cool settings. Shout out to Jay and Jules as well. You get me? Her other founding members. Very, very cool origins of how that came about. I talked to her about absolutely everything. We go from the beginning all the way to the modern day. And I find out what being a sneakerhead truly means to Giulia in 2024 as well. Very, very cool. Amazing interview, even if I do say so myself. Hope you guys really, really enjoy it. I would love to have Giulia back on the podcast at some point in the near future to chop it up again. And yeah, guys, this is our interview this week. So I hope you find the interview interesting and entertaining. I certainly did myself. I'm your boy PROZECH. This is Kicks Chronicles, and our guest this week is Giulia Zecchini of the Sneaker Sisterhood. Enjoy. Yes, my people, Big PROZECH back again, and you already know what it is. We have another illustrious guest. It's Kicks Chronicles. My guest this week is the host of FIBA's European League for Women. Also, one of the founding members of the Sneaker Sisterhood. Big things are gone. You can see her on your small screens and some big screens. eBay, 30 for 30, under 30 for sport and all of this different things. She's doing her thing. And if you've got her LinkedIn, bro, you're seeing her pop up with this stuff all the time. You get me, man? Today we have the one and only. I'm going to try and say this perfectly because I'm saying she's an Italian woman. I need to put some respect on her name. It's Giulia Zecchini. Zecchini?
First one was good. Zecchini. I'm really impressed.
Zecchini. We'll go with Zecchini. Do you know what, yeah? What I'm going to say, yeah, right, it's so important to me that I got that right because first and foremost, Italian lady. Everyone knows my wife is an Italian woman as well. So I know that they don't suffer fools lightly. You get me, man? They don't say they don't take mess. You get me now? I'm definitely not on their names, number one. Number two, like, your surname is so similar to my actual name. It's actually nuts, and I've just never seen a surname like that before. So yeah, very, very cool to have you. Really, really cool. I hope you've had a really cool day. Thank you very much for joining us, man. What's kicking?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, not much in London. The sun is finally out, so can't complain. But yeah, all good.
Good stuff, man. We'll kick on straight away, man. We want to know, man, because the people want to know. You get me? Giulia, man, what was that first love? What was that shoe that sort of just brought you into the game, the one that you fell in love with?
Oh, good question. I don't know if I've been asked this, or at least not recently. I would have to say it was probably the And One Tai Chi. Which is probably a bit of a rogue choice. I actually have it up there. If I'd taken it down before, I could have shown you. But playing basketball growing up in Italy, didn't have access to that many shoes in my size. And One was literally the one brand that would do women's sizing back then. I'm not going to say in what years because I don't want to give away my age. But it was a while back when I was a teenager. And yeah, I got the first Tai Chi, which was the classic like white and red. Kind of half and half, and then from there I think I pretty much had like every colorway they've ever released. The whole squad used to wear them. It was a cool shoe to have, so definitely that.
Absolutely fire shoe. The And One, not the first person to actually mention the And One. Shout out to James Blake Williams the second. He also mentioned the And One because he's a native of Canada and obviously made famous by Vince Carter.
Big time
dunk
contest.
So absolutely fire. Love that shoe. You get me? And I would definitely put some respect on And One, bro. They don't get a lot nowadays. Remember the And One shoes, but also the And One mixtapes all the way through college years. They were definitely doing their thing, man. So big up And One. You did allude to it just as you were answering that question, but it's important that we touch on it. Obviously, you grew up in Italy. When did you come over to the UK?
I moved over when I was 18 for university. So it's been quite some time I've been living here now.
Amazing.
But yeah, I moved over for uni, but I grew up in Italy and spent my whole formative years in Milan, which is where I'm from and where my family's from.
Very, very interesting. My wife's family are all from Brescia, so not too far.
Yeah, real close.
And all in the north near Verona and that sort of area there. One question I always love to ask, and just to understand sort of the lay of the land, growing up in Milan. Milan, we know, is a hotbed in terms of fashion, but just you growing up as a sort of formative sneakerhead and just your love and interest in kicks and in basketball and things of that nature. What were you seeing on people's feet?
I would say that I was probably not really following the Italian trends as much, just because I went to an international school and we had a lot of American influence, which is why I got into like Jordans and basketball. But thinking back then, it was mainly Air Max 90s and Air Max 97s. Those were definitely the biggest things on feet of kids my age. Like I remember wanting the Air Max 97 silver bullets, and my parents couldn't afford them at the time, and I never got a pair. And now I have like 3 pairs just to like, I finally could get my hands on them. And then we used to wear loads of Puma Mostros, which are coming back now. You know, the ones with the zigzag Velcro.
Do you know what? I'm with you. I'm
like
fully
those
with you.
were like driving style shoes in Italy were like a whole thing when I was growing up. I had them in so many different colorways, and I remember I went to Tunisia and Algeria on holiday with my family, and they would sell fakes, and I came back with like so many Puma fakes in loads of colorways. I was like the happiest 13-year-old ever. And then we used to wear quite a lot of Onitsuka Tiger, the classic that's now come back, the like bright yellow with the navy.
Kill Bills.
That was very much the rich kids sneaker. Like if you had those, you were like upper class Italian.
Where were you getting these? Is it mail order? Was there a particular store that you would pick these sort of shoes up from, or
Yeah,
like?
there was a store in Milan, well, there still is, called Par 5, which kind of had more of the collabs, the cool shoes, and some more of the edgy shoes like the Diodoras, and kind of the alternative brands. But then other than that, I didn't really know what collabs were back then, to be honest. So it was very much a Foot Locker job. So yeah, just retail stores on the high street.
And do you know the other thing that's so interesting? And I always I'm referring back to my wife a lot because you don't get the opportunity to speak to Italians all the time. You don't have an accent.
Yeah, I cheated.
Because of the international school.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to an international
it.
school from age 3. So to be fair, actually, a lot of my Italian friends that went to my same school sound a lot more Italian than me. But I think I was just like really obsessed with American culture growing up. And so I lost the accent pretty quickly in terms of music influence and what I was watching on TV and stuff.
I hear that. I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit, sort of a little bit left field, right? You kind of mentioned a little bit of it talking about Tunisia, but we'll touch on it if you want to go down that road. I always ask the question about unholy grails, and some people don't know what an unholy grail is. And if you don't know what that is, it's absolutely fine. I'm happy to explain. An unholy grail is kind of like an off-brand shoe.
Yeah.
It's a shoe that, not necessarily fake, but I mean, could be. A shoe that you probably wouldn't want, but a shoe that more often than not is given to you and you're forced to wear for whatever reason. So did you ever find yourself entering into sort of the unholy grail territory?
I mean, some time ago, I was part of a campaign with a retailer, and it was for Carl Kani.
Interested.
And
Carl Kani Kicks.
Yeah. And to be honest, not the biggest fan. Like the shoe looked fine. It was fine. It was pretty basic, like white leather, nothing crazy, but maybe not what I would choose. But
yeah, Carl Kani Kicks is wild. With respect, because Carl Kani is a legend, bro.
I know, right? And it's
a legend in something else.
Yeah, so, like you can't really speak bad about it, but the brand is just, it's just not me. The whole brand, the apparel, the shoes, it's all over the place. And I think I did one campaign, and then I just said to the retailer, like, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. Yeah, I think we're fair to say that's sort of unholy grail territory. So yeah, but you've come out the other side. I can see a massive shelves and shelves of heaters behind you. So you're nice, you're good. You get me? Like, not, you know what I'm saying? Not too scathed. You're absolutely fine. Let's touch on the a part of the conversation I like to refer to as the EST of KIC. And when I say EST, I usually am referring to the oldest, the newest, the greatest, the best of your current collection. So if I was to ask you what's the oldest shoe in your current collection, what would that be?
So non-wearable is the 1985 Jordan 1 Chicago's, but they're under a glass case and I no longer wear them because the sole has hardened, unfortunately, and they've had some work done to them and they're just not great. That I still wear, let me show you, even though I need to get them re-glued, just when we won't pay attention to this, but the 2002 Columbia Jordan 15s.
Interesting with the 15s.
I love 15s.
You and Billie Eilish killing up for the 15s.
And I don't have that pair, actually. I don't have that pair.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But I love 15s. They're the ugliest, nicest shoe ever.
Well, that's interesting because it's that ugly, cool type thing that a lot of people like. That it's like the shoes so like weird looking that it's got its own charm about it.
Yeah, it's chunky. I like that you can't really see the laces. I like I don't even know what you call it, but that sort of crisscross material.
that peak thing as well. That peak thing
Yeah,
is wild.
I
How
like
does it
him.
sit with Kit? Because you're not wearing trousers, you're not wearing cargos or anything with that.
I wear
You're
like
wearing them to
baggy pants, so they kind of go
okay.
over, so you can't really see
They'll
the
go over
peak.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what did you ask me? Newest?
Yeah. Let's go newest.
Oh, um, oh, I got the Jordan 3 Nina Chanel's, the green ones, the bio.
Interesting.
I forgot the name.
Yeah. Bi-coastal.
Bicoastal, that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grab them. I love a Jordan 3. I've got quite a lot of pairs here,
Absolutely.
actually. They're off camera. And I just love green. It's my favorite color. So, yeah, I had to get them.
It's an interesting shoe with the Nina Chanel because obviously she had the Jordan 1, the Jordan 2 prior. And that had some mixed reviews. Definitely a better outing in terms of the Jordan 3 silhouette and the green. I was a little bit, because I saw them in hand, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the material because
Oh, really?
it looked, yeah, personally,
It's
and I
like
don't
a
know if everybody else
denim.
was the same.
It's like a
Yeah,
green denim.
well, so when I saw the original photos, it was almost like I don't want to say like it was a suede, but it was just giving a little bit more of a bit more of a luxurious feel. It just felt a
Mm.
little bit more, and that just might have just been how the campaign was shot. It was a fantastic campaign and it looked really good, and I definitely think the Biocoastal is a step up. In terms of Nina, it's definitely been a step up. Her trajectory is definitely going in the right
Yeah.
direction.
But I
It's just
think
maybe it was just yeah.
I do think Jordan Brand hasn't done the best job of telling her story and
I think you're
showcasing
right.
her art outside of the US. Like, I think the Black community in the US and the art community in the US might be more familiar with her work, and definitely like New York and the East Coast, but I don't think that's translated to international markets. So I also think that's sort of what we've been missing, because I think the twos actually were a better interpretation of her artwork and what her artwork looks
Ah,
like in terms of the simplicity and the color blocking and like that removal of the detail that you would have like on a regular two with like all the stitching and stuff. Her shoes remove that, and I think that does resemble her
yeah.
artwork. But yeah, I don't think they did a
Okay.
good international storytelling piece there.
And that's so interesting because I think from my perspective, the most important element in any shoe is the stories that we tell. It's what makes a shoe infamous. It's what makes a shoe popular. It's like there are certain shoes that are gonna sell out regardless, but just based on design or whatever. But a lot of other shoes need buying. They need the consumer to feel something about the shoe. So it's interesting that you say that they didn't do a great job in terms of international storytelling. I think certain times, and I've leveled this at night in general, not just at Jordan Brand. I think certain times they do dial in the rollout for some of these shoes, especially internationally. If there isn't a real connection with the international audience, they just really don't put a huge amount of effort into that storytelling piece, and still expect people to buy the shoe.
Yeah,
And
and some of these
yeah,
collaborators, they don't have the sort of profile that either an NBA star like Jordan would have or
of
Travis
course,
Scott,
yeah,
where obviously he does have that global appeal and everybody enjoys his music. Like Nina Chanel, like, do we really, you just don't know about her. So why would you buy her shoe
absolutely.
when you could
No,
buy
I
a
hear that.
different Jordan 3? And I think that's what they're really lacking. But I think a lot of the times, unfortunately, especially US brands think that what works in the US works everywhere else. And we know for a fact that that's not the case, right? Even just the UK.
Absolutely,
Yeah, the language is the
absolutely.
same, but not even
Barely.
that much. Like, yeah, the base of the language is the same, but even that's different. So
Yeah, no,
yeah, it
you're
just
right.
doesn't translate when they, and I think it's why sometimes I used to like what Adidas used to do with their like city activations, which they do a bit less of
Yes.
now, but that just felt like they could at least translate their campaigns a bit better into local markets. Now it's all just become one big global mush.
Well, yeah, and I think obviously it's probably social media and everything has made
Yeah.
everything a lot smaller. So I mean, everything is. It's like, what? Why bother telling a specific city story or an international story? Why not just throw it all on social media and anybody who wants to be interested could get interested? that, in my opinion, then does it go back to the collaborator to then take it up? Like we saw from Nigel Sylvester, him doing his activations in New York and in London for his Jordan 4 Low or Jordan 4 RM. Makes sense to connect, to get over there and actually sort of be present and build up a little bit of a fan base here, or to create something here that people will say, you know what, I mean, shoe aside, Nina came to town and it was a vibe sort of thing. Do you think there's a little bit of a responsibility from the collaborator to maybe, if they see these things are not really going the way they want to go, maybe take the initiative and make that move themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of responsibility is on both. I think the brands should know better. Like, they know what works in different markets. They have all the insights teams in different markets to know what works. So I think obviously they're missing out and not doing a proper global rollout. I think if the shoe is not going to be a North American exclusive, you're going to have to allocate some budgets to other markets to do it properly. I obviously understand that you can't do an event in Cape Town and Berlin and Tokyo. Fine, but at least pick one city per continent, at least, to try and roll it out with some degree of localized story. Because again, there's just some collaborators that don't translate everywhere in the world.
Absolutely. So we've touched on the oldest, touched on the newest. If I was to ask you, what is the greatest, big question, what's the greatest shoe in your collection?
I mean, I know it's such a big answer, but probably the 85 Chicago ones. On the lifestyle side. If I had to go basketball performance side, I have the Kobe ones when he first joined Nike, which are a great shoe. And then I love the Kobe 6 Grinches. So probably go with the Grinch.
Absolutely. Fire shoes. Yeah, I mean, you touched on performance shoes. And I know you're a basketball icon at this point, right? Everyone knows.
Maybe not icon.
Overcooking it a little bit, but everyone knows Giulia. Do you know, every so often on my podcast, as I said, it is your story, but it is my podcast, and sometimes I want to battle.
I'm gonna win.
No, see, this is what people do. They start talking tough, right? And I'm saying, I want to battle. Yeah, so I'm playing games, Giulia. Yeah, I know, like, we've got I'm saying, like, the Italian thing, my force Italian, all that, you get me? But nah, put all that aside, yeah, it's going down, G, right? And I don't play games, yeah? It's going to be your top three, my top three, going head to head, and we're talking performance basketball sneakers.
Okay.
Yeah? Non-Jordan. Like, put Jordan to one side, you get me?
Gotcha.
Like, to be fair, I mean, in terms of the performance aspect of Jordan, I don't know whether they'd be top of too many people's lists. Anyway, right? So we're kind of doing them a little bit of a favor. All right. I've got a little bit of a list. You've probably got a Rolodex going off in your head right now, right? The rules of the game are your top three, my top three. You'll go first because you're my illustrious guest. We'll go back to back, right? If you say something that's on my list, I have to pick something else.
Okay.
And vice versa.
Jeez, okay. Right? Quick thinking.
Yeah? It doesn't have to be in your collection, although it very well could be, but it just needs to be. But
I like to talk about shoes that, like, I've tried and tested and I know that they're good for performance.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay.
Not just like people like me who like to watch football on YouTube. Okay. So
okay.
Watch basketball, I should say. I said football. Watch basketball on YouTube.
That's a bad start. Okay. That's how I know I'm going to win.
That's a terrible start. I'm saying I am a fan of basket.
That's the one. The one that goes like this.
It's that one, right? Okay.
This one on my shirt.
Okay, as I said, you're my illustrious guest. I'm gonna let you go first. What is your first pick?
So I'm going to rep all my WNBA stars. So I'm going to start with the Nike Sabrina 1.
Sensible.
Since
Like,
since Kobe shoes, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Price
okay,
wise, performance wise, customization wise, you can do Nike ID on
nice,
them, and looks
nice.
wise, they're wonderful, and that's why you see so many NBA players rocking them as well.
She's done her thing, you know. She's done her thing. I mean, she definitely took the league by storm. Um, a lot of special treatment, so to speak, from some of the other players in the league. But she's an absolute killer. You get me, like from downtown, like just doing her thing. I saw she came into my sort of periphery when I saw her go up against Steph at the I
Three
think it
point
was the
challenge.
last All Star, the 3-point challenge. Absolutely stood her ground completely. Like if it was a spot up shooting situation in the NBA, she's definitely got a spot in a lot of people's roster.
Yeah.
She's that level. She's that good.
And what's
Like
crazy
she's
is that at WNBA All Star, she actually beat Steph's score because she scored, I think, 31, like something ridiculous, like a super high score. But then she came up short at NBA All Star, where I think she got 26.
yeah. But it was fantastic.
Yeah,
It was
she's a
fantastic. It was good
shooter.
to see. Yeah, she's legitimately an amazing shooter. So yeah, the Sabrinas are fire, necessary, and I'm about that. I'm gonna go a little older with my first one. I'm gonna go. I'm a Reebok fan. I'm a Reebok fan. You get me? I love the Reebok Classic. I love the workout. You get me? But I also just you know what? Right? I'm a big guy, but it's that crossover, bro.
So I got them. Wait.
It's
I
that
need to show you
crossover.
this because 1 second.
Ah, these are sick.
Because my pair is signed.
Wow! Oh my days!
So sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
your top shoe, but obviously I'm a big Allen Iverson fan. I've got
that
more
makes sense.
colorways.
Makes sense. Yeah,
But
makes sense.
I went to an NBA event a couple of years ago in London because AI is one of the NBA ambassadors, international ambassadors, and he came to launch the London Mayor of London coaching program where they are going to like train up 500 coaches across the UK to make sure that we have,
Amazing.
really great coaches here. And obviously AI was there presenting this with Sadiq Khan. And I had the chance to meet him. And I used to be obsessed with him as a kid. Like I used to wear the sweatband, the wristbands, baggy clothes.
You had the sleeve, maybe? Where did you have the sleeve?
I didn't have the sleeve as a kid, but like I was obsessed, and I definitely thought like I could be like Allen Iverson, even though I have no handles whatsoever. And yeah, I got my shoe signed, and I was
That's
gonna
it.
ask him to step over me, and then the NBA rep was like, "Don't do that. That's super creepy." So I didn't.
That's hilarious.
But yeah,
That is so sick. You are actually a super fan. You're asking. I thought you'd be like, give him a ball, let him cross me up. But no, literally, I'll lie down on the
yeah,
ground
literally
and
gonna lie down.
and let him step over it. Absolutely wild settings. I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, the Reebok question from 1996, from his rookie season to whatever. Like the shoe's legendary. It's a classic.
Great shoe.
I love that shoe. I love Reebok. I love that he's back with Shaq as well. Like the pumps and the Shaq Notice and all of those are cool shoes. But I thought, one spot for Reebok. Let me put them at the top. We go Reebok. Yeah,
And
you
the
don't
one
even
thing I'll
question
say
that.
again, because I always plug the WNBA, but obviously Reebok signed Angel Reese, which
Yes.
is a contender for Rookie of the Year, ex-LSU player, national champion. saucy, spicy lady who's got 15 consecutive double-doubles. That's the
Come on.
WNBA record so far. And she keeps getting custom versions of these done. And her nickname was the Bayou Barbie. So she had like a Barbie edition of these. So if anybody like really likes these, check out what she wears on courts, because they're giving her some pretty cool PEs.
That makes a lot of sense for a number of reasons. Them signing her up, because I think Shaq went to LSU as well, but also like Iverson's there, and her getting all of these really cool PEs like makes a huge amount of sense in promoting the female game around the world, man. Because the sneakers are like. Yeah, they're like one of the most important parts of it. Please go on, please.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, I have this marketing idea which I think is genius if Reebok hired me. So having like Shaq and Allen Iverson, which I think were considered to a certain extent like villains in the NBA. And,
to an extent.
And Angel Reese is considered a villain in the WNBA. I think their whole marketing should be about just signing villains and putting together like a villain super squad of athletes across different sports. And then they should do like kind of like Harley Quinn Joker vibes, and do like the antithesis of superheroes that Nike does. Like Nike does all the
anti-hero.
Yeah, like right? Let Nike do the inspirational stuff, and then you go with the hardcore like superstars that came from nothing and built empires, and they're considered evil, but they perform every night and they're iconic. And I think that would sell.
Do you know what?
Would sell sneakers way more than what they currently do.
But like what you've done there, Giulia, is illustrate the point that we were talking about earlier. That's an amazing story. I get that. Because I grew up watching wrestling. Number one star in the history of wrestling is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Flipping off Vince McMahon, it's the most iconic thing in the world. It's the idea of just saying, you know what, man, I'm done with like ticking boxes, wearing a tie, and putting these shoes on, man. I'm gonna do what I want to do, right? And I get that, man. In terms of a story, a lot of people could identify with that, man. And I get what you're talking about, like them being sort of them playing into that hard edge.
They should.
And I'm saying like leaning into that. I feel like that's very cool. And just using that as a strategy to decide who they go with in the future, I think makes a lot of sense.
Because otherwise it's boring and samey.
Absolutely, because the world would have you believe. I mean, we've got the Euros has just finished, and obviously Adidas are focusing on Jude, the Copa America. They're focusing on Labau. They're focusing on Messi. They're focusing on the aspirational, the inspirational. Like the same Nico Williams, what's the name? The guy that just won Wimbledon. What's it? Alcaraz.
Oh, yeah, Alcaraz.
They're focusing on the aspirational, the inspiration. Yeah. Right. To have a brand out there just saying we're getting down and dirty, and like if you got a little bit of a hard edge, right? You're tired of being looked over. If you're tired of being looked over, come on, join this team. You get me, man? And I'm down with that. I'm fully down with that, man. I feel like they should. I feel like we could make this a little bit of a pitch.
Yeah,
I feel like we could. I feel like we could do this.
Yeah, and like Reebok, listen up, please. We've got ideas for you.
Yeah,
I've got a list of players that I think you should sign.
I'm saying, and notice how I'm saying we when I say that as well.
I'll have you on board.
Of course, because that's fire. That's absolutely fire, man. I'll just be like a cheerleader in the background, because they need cheerleaders, right? That's still a thing. I don't know. 2024. So you've done your top one. I've done my top one. Okay. So what is your second shoe?
Second shoe, I would probably go with Way of Wade 10s.
Wow.
Nah, if they ugly, they're ugly, but performance-wise, Way of Wade.
Facts. No, I hear you.
Unbelievable. So hard to get your hands on in Europe. They are unbelievable shoes. Like 10 out of 10.
Was that part of that was part of leading, right?
Yeah. Like I don't know who they've got working on the leaning team, because the Jimmy Butlers are great, the Way of Wades are great. Like they are pumping out exceptional shoes from a performance angle.
I like that.
Then you might not love the look. They look a little crazy. They look very futuristic. Like I prefer the look of the Jimmy Butlers, but the Way of Wades, top line shoe. Amazing.
Sick. Okay. A shoe that I think, now I've already given a disclaimer. I don't actively play basketball anymore, and when I did, when I was in secondary school, I should say, we were just wearing AstroTurfs most of the time. But anyway, in terms of performance, I don't have a lot of a frame of reference, so I'm just basically going on what I think looked the best, right? In terms of non Jordan shoes that actual ballers used to wear, balling, right? And one shoe that kept on coming up in my periphery that a lot of people were saying was a baller's shoe was the Kyrie 4, but definitely the Kyrie when he was at Nike. A lot of ballers were saying that is an actual balling shoe. So I'm definitely going to put, because he had a lot of amazing colorways as well. It was a really, really good shoe. Easily, a lot of great PEs as well. Obviously a controversial figure, went close, not so close in the final once they got there, but definitely someone that has got a lot about them, a lot of interesting things. And if it doesn't work out with Anta, I think he could be someone that could join that Reebok team.
100%.
100%. That about it. But yeah.
So I'm a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
But I love Kyrie. Like when he signed for the Celtics, I was like, yeah, we got Kyrie. Like he is a superstar. And then obviously it didn't work out and so much drama. But I still love Kyrie, even though Boston fans don't always agree. I actually got to design a Kyrie PE myself with Nike a couple years ago, which I have back there. It's too far to reach, but I love Kyrie's, and actually heard great things about his Anta 5.
Yeah, I think he's just got a good. Yeah, I think he's got a good. I think he's obviously got a good team. I think he works with good brands. And I think, ultimately he knows in terms of touch and feel what works.
Yeah. They're pumping out some good stuff from Anta for him, for sure.
Cool.
Okay.
So I think this is your last one.
Third and final. We're going to keep it different with the brands because it's boring if we just go with Nike. But I'm going to go with Puma. I'm a little undecided if I want to go for the LaMelo Ball 3s, or if I want to go with the Brianna Stewart, the Stewie 2s. I'll probably go Stewie 2s just because they're a lower cut shoe and I prefer lower cut shoes. The LaMelo Balls are like an awkward mid, and sometimes it hits
like
my ankle bone.
Weird,
But I love the colorways and what they've done with LaMelo. Like they're killing it. Gen Zers, like the kids love that shoe. If you go watch any kids between 10 and 17, they've probably got LaMelo Balls on.
Interesting.
But yeah, the Stewie 2 fab shoe, really good price point, good tech in it, good for speed, good for jumping, good cushioning, and it looks really good.
Cool. So I did have one written down, but you know what I like? What you've done is you've kind of touched on different areas, and I like that. Man, I like that. And I haven't had. Well, I've done a Reebok and I've done a Nike. I haven't had an Adidas yet.
Oh, yeah. New Adidas is back in the game.
And they are. So do you know what I'm gonna do? Along that, because this is obviously a popularity contest. I just want to be liked, right? And that shoe, right? So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with the.
You're not gonna do what I think you're about to do.
No, I don't know what you think I'm gonna do, but hopefully I'm gonna do better than what you think I'm gonna do.
Are you gonna go for Crazy Eights?
No. So, okay, I can tell you now.
No, because that's illegal from a performance point of view.
Okay, that's fair enough, because you would know better than me. Right, but I can tell you, Crazy Eights was top of my list. Because I just love the shoe, right? But I have made a decision, and I'm going to change it. The reason being is because for such a long time, Adidas basketball has been an afterthought, right? And like in recent history, I believe this to be the best Adidas basketball shoe, and I'm gonna go with the Anthony Edwards. I believe they're the 81 or 80 in general. It's got a lot about it. It's a very, very cool looking shoe.
Just the 81, right? His current one.
Yeah, just the current one.
Yeah.
Current one.
It's amazing. It looks so good.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool shoe.
Yeah.
It's one of the only current basketball shoes that I could easily see translated in terms of
Agree.
a smart, a casual wearer. A person on the street can look at that shoe and still say, "Oh, I can wear that." And I think not a lot of basketball shoes, especially performance shoes, do cross over in that way. Especially ones that have come around in the most recent history. There are a few, and I think that's probably in most recent history the number one shoe that I think is really, really hitting on a lot of people's lists. So I'm gonna go with the 81. I think he done amazing with the rollout, the storytelling, even the whole hater thing as well.
Should have been with Reebok though.
Yes, yeah. I feel like there's a little bit of that going on as well. He's definitely got that thing about him. The whole back and forth with Cameron and all of that stuff as well. Like there was a lot. And obviously it didn't work out for him in terms of the championship, but the notoriety that he managed, the notoriety that he managed to get during that run, which was a fantastic run for the team.
Yeah,
I feel like he's a legend in the making. So yeah, man, I feel like that's a couple solid lists. That's a couple solid lists there.
Good mix of brands.
I'm happy with that.
Refreshing. Good
mix of brands. Very, very cool. Very refreshing. You get me? I think we all done 3 different brands as well. We've got a little Puma, a little Reebok, a little Adidas. Obviously one Nike in there, but I'm saying we've got the Way of Wade. Lee Ning's making an appearance. Literally, man, we love that. So, definitely a vibe, man. Very, very formidable opponent. People, let us know in the comments below who you think has picked up the dub. You get me? It's a tight one. I think it's going to be a tight one. But I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to just ask, if you were just running out your house, because I know we all have it. We have some shoes that are just sort of by the door that we just automatically just put on our feet. When we're running out, we're not thinking about a fit. We're not going to do a photo shoot or something like that. We're just running out of the house to go pick something up or grab something in or whatever like that. What are those shoes that are by the door, the sort of bop to the shop type shoes?
So I have 2, and it's very weather dependent. So I have my just standard Crocs.
Of course.
Because I use those to just go to the gym and go to basketball, and that's just my easy shoe. But then my actual sneaker, I've actually got a pair of Hokas. They're called Aura Primos. They're like a slip-on pair with no laces. And it's like walking on a little cloud. It's the most comfortable shoe I have ever worn. And I think they actually look kind of cool. Definitely not for everyone. They're a bit futuristic looking, hella thick sole, but I like them. They do it for me.
So I've just looked them up. Very, very interesting shoe. Interesting, the name, because Aura is all the rage right about now. People talking about people with Max Aura XYZ and all that sort of G, right? Very, very interesting looking shoe. It looks super comfortable.
Unbelievably comfortable.
Very cushioned. So I could definitely get with that. Definitely a vibe, and I'm down with the slip-ons every so often. I think these are 2 sides of a similar coin in the sense of you've got the sort of all-weather-ish Croc that you can sort of just throw on and bounce things off of, and if it's dirty, you can just wipe it clean. And then you've got these, which are sort of a little bit more substantial, but likely similar level of comfort. So I'm not mad at these at all. And I'm starting to get your vibe. You like the sort of You like the shoes that maybe not on everybody's list. You get me?
I
Like,
get a lot of
I'm saying
hate.
not so easy to love. Yeah, not so
Yeah.
easy to love. But I'm saying the ones that definitely have a bit more substance about them. So I'm definitely on that vibe. And Hoka's a brand that I'm not super familiar with in terms of their silhouettes.
That's my
But in
first and
terms of,
only pair.
well, this is it. I feel like they've earned the right, because they've definitely been about, and I know their thing is obviously running and performance, but they've done such a good job. And it's not just them, but those brands that are sort of, those running brands that are sort of on the periphery of cool, that you're starting to see sort of edge into the street, off the track and off the out the running clubs and into the street. I think those things really do help those types of brands. So yeah, no, I'm not mad at that at all. It'd be remiss of me to not touch on some of the things that we touched on some of them, some of the things that you're involved in terms of your career at the top of the show. But one of the things that sort of made me aware of you was Sneaker Sisterhood, because obviously joining a community like the sneaker community, you start to realize that there are certain factions, certain groups that are servicing the community in different ways. And I mean, I'm obviously not a woman, not a sister, certainly.
We accept
But I
everyone,
do.
though.
But this is it. I completely appreciate the idea of having a group where you can support one another, especially in an industry that has been male dominated in the past. Some might say still male dominated, but also like in terms of shoes and in terms of availability of sizes and things of that nature, definitely has been issues over the years. So how did the Sneaker Sisterhood come about? How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, so it was actually with the release of this shoe.
Nice.
So
I think is it Obsidian? Is that the Obsidian?
no, God, I forget the
What's it called
name.
again?
Like maybe Ice something. It's the patent leather blue ones.
Yeah. I love how the name.
I think they came out 2018, 2019. 2019. We all, Offspring, obviously very beloved retail store in London and across the UK. They were putting quite a lot of effort back then into getting women's releases in the hands of women. So when you would actually go pick up women's releases, you would finally meet other women on pickup days if you would go to Selfridges on a Saturday. And, you start seeing familiar faces, and this wasn't the first women's release that year. And by the time that one came out, we'd started like a group chat on Instagram where the most familiar faces were kind of chatting and catching up. And then off the back of that, we decided to make it into something a bit bigger and more organized, let's say, and create a platform off the back of that. So with my two co-founders, Jay and Jules, which I'm sure people are familiar with, but on Instagram, it's House of Jay and Crown Jules. We started this page and evolved it to what it is today with nearly 16,000 people following us. And we have women all across the globe that interact with us and share their content with us. But the primary reason to start it was just to offer a platform for women to express themselves through their love of sneakers, in their being their true selves, where they didn't have to follow specific trends to be reposted or to be considered or to be liked. It was like, you show up as you are, show us the kicks that you love, and we will share a bit of everything. It's not about being the coolest or what's on trend now. It's just about being you, and it's a safe space, and we can talk about trends and what's going on in the industry. But we also want to make sure that everybody feels welcome, no matter their walk of life. And then that also then evolved into having events in and around London, which has been really special. And this year we actually celebrated our 5-year anniversary with Offspring and Converse back in March, which was really cool.
That is very, very sick. Very, very sick. I think I saw some of the photos from that. Congratulations for 5 years. That's absolutely amazing. Something I always ask my female guests, and I think people are going to think that I'm sort of beating a dead horse when I ask this question, but it is something that it's something that I've always wondered about, and I always have to ask the females because of it's something that affects only females, and your perspective in this scenario is really what counts. what is your perspective on female-only drops?
So I have never given it much thought. I actually don't have many female-only drops. I'm also very lucky that I'm a UK 6, so I'm usually included in most drops that don't include female sizing. So obviously a bit unfair for me to give this opinion because I don't struggle to find shoes in my size as much as other women with smaller feet. I think a lot of female drops have been a little bit lame in terms of colorways and effort that has been put into them, even though I think that has become better in more recent years. And I also remember, like, we always complain about Shrink It and Pink It, but then the Aleli May 6s, the pink ones came out, and like everyone wanted them. I'm like, what do you mean? We've been complaining all this time about pink shoes, and now everybody wants these. So, you know, there's never like a one size fits all comment around this. Yeah. I think the most important thing would be to have extensive size ranges for most releases so everybody can have the opportunity to buy the shoes that they want without needing a gendered approach to it, because I don't think shoes need a gendered approach for lifestyle. They need a gendered approach for performance in terms of technology for injury prevention, but for lifestyle, just let people grab what they want to grab. So I think that's my view.
No, and I think that's absolutely fair. And I think I get where you're coming from in the sense that it's not something that really affects you. Basically, in my mind, I'm like, there are certain shoes that are women's only shoes that go up to a size 14.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they go up to a size 14. Did every woman that wanted that shoe get that shoe? Because we're going up to a size 14. And it's like, does that make sense? Like, I'm saying, when I see things like that, it just doesn't really equate or make sense. It's almost like it's a bit of a tick box exercise.
You know what
looking
really...
after the women.
Yeah, what really bugged me recently was a Mamaniere released was it not the 3s, the 5s? Mm-hmm. And again, it's all about like Black women, the power of Black women, that storytelling. Every single person that modeled those shoes was a man.
See?
So stuff like that irritates me. Like, how are you going to have a women's shoe modeled by men? That makes no sense. And she says it wearing a Mamaniere shirt. But if anybody from a Mamaniere is listening, fix up. That's not good.
Fix up.
Come on.
She said it so nicely. So respectfully. No, that needs to be sorted out. That's terrible. That is terrible, man. That's the sort of joined up thinking we need, because ultimately, like, if you are, at the very least, if you're gonna do a woman's only shoe, put a woman in the shoe.
Yeah. And if the storytelling is literally about Black women and how incredible they are, please use Black women in your campaign. I beg.
Throw a sister in the shoe, man, and keep it moving. Come on, G.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. No, you know what? Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Absolutely get where you're coming from on that, and I think you're absolutely right. We're gonna start sort of moving towards the end of this. I want to ask you a question. It's a question I absolutely love. It's called Desert Island Kicks. Imagine you're stowed away, like you're just on a desert island. You don't know how you got there, but you got 2 pairs of kicks with you. What 2 pairs of kicks would you have with you on this island, and why?
I would have a pair of Nike Metcons 6s so I can exercise in them.
Training? Yeah, do a bit of training. Are you CrossFit? I think the Metcons for CrossFit, right?
Yeah, no, I've got the hybrids, which are like running and exercise in general. I'm not a CrossFitter, but I feel like it means that I could run on sand and climb trees.
Yeah, you could do pretty much anything,
in them,
right?
Maybe.
Facts.
And then, God, what shoe would you actually need on a desert island? Nobody's seeing you, so it doesn't matter if you look cool.
Interesting.
Would I want like a warm shoe for winter? Does it get cold on my desert island?
You tell me.
No, I'm going to be on a tropical one. Therefore, I will have a pair of waterproof shoes. So I will have my Merrell water shoes.
Fair.
People are going to judge me so hard, but think practical, guys. I'm not a hype beast.
No. we need like whenever I ask a question, I always I want people to show they're working, because this is a very outlandish scenario, right? But we want to understand that people are thinking about the question and applying some logic to the question. So it does make sense. I've used Merrells in the past. I've done a few sort of outdoor traily things.
You can go in water with them.
Yeah, I'm saying they're fantastic for that sort of stuff. So it does make sense. And yeah. Those two shoes, I get it. Absolutely get it. Not a bad selection there. We've got some quick fires. You up for some quick fires?
Yep.
Cool. The only thing I ask with the quick fires is that no dilly dally. Is that okay? No dilly dally. Straight from the heart, straight from the chest. Yeah. All right. You good? You ready? All right. We're going in 3, 2, 1. Big one. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
New Balance or Adidas?
New Balance.
Nike or Nike?
Nike.
Can you wear Nike and Adidas together, yes or no?
Nah.
Yeah, right answer. If you have, what was your last sneakers app win?
Oh my God. I haven't won on Sneakers app in like 4 years, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Do you know what? That is the most common answer.
Legit.
You were right.
So upsetting. I think I might even have deleted the app at this point.
Absolutely wild settings. Do you have a Jordan number? And if so, what is it?
A Jordan number?
So yeah, what is your favorite silhouette of the Jordans?
15.
15. YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok?
Instagram.
Sneakers, kicks, or crepes?
Sneakers.
Spotify or Apple?
Spotify.
Favorite collaboration?
Ooh, that's hard.
Always.
That's really hard. Oh.
Terribly difficult.
Off-White, Jordan 5s, the Black Edition.
Interesting.
Or Atmos Air Max 1s, the animals.
We'll let you have that. Yeah, the muzzlers are crazy and the animals are mad. So yeah, we love that. Vans or Converse?
Converse.
Laces or slip-ons?
Laces, usually.
Default laces, or do you pattern your laces?
Default. I'm lazy. Who's got time for that?
Customized shoes, so custom designs, or straight GRs, factory settings?
GR.
Retro or innovation?
Retro.
Flip-flops or slides?
Slides.
Socks or barefoot?
Socks. Very German.
Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan or LeBron?
Does my shirts need to say anything more? Michael Jordan.
Facts. Okay. Comfort or style?
Well, I'm a bit old now. I used to say style, but probably comfort now.
Fresh and clean or beaten and battered?
Beaten and battered.
Fairs.
I haven't cleaned a pair of shoes like in 6 years. It's actually gross.
Oh man, we need to get one of these shoe cleaning brands to
Somebody sponsor me,
up, please. Yeah, someone hook her up, please. This is an interesting follow-up. If you were cleaning your shoes, are you using the washing machine or are you hand washing your shoes?
No, hand washing. I'm not a criminal.
This is it. I'm saying I'm not a criminal. I'm not an axe murderer.
Like if I have to clean them, it'll be by hand.
Fair enough. All right, this is a good question because you did allude to something about this earlier: lows, mids, or highs.
Weird lifestyle. Jordan 1 highs, everything else lows.
Fairs. And the last question in this section is triple blacks or white and whites?
White. I don't wear black shoes.
Interesting.
I'm not from London.
Interesting. She's not from the ends. Because the thing is, like we kind of alluded to earlier, triple black shoes are kind of reserved for the demons of the street.
In the Italian ends, we wear triple whites. Triple white Air Max 90s.
For real, because you never see them coming, right? You never see them coming. They do the things with a smile on their face. I get you. Before I let you go, the word sneakerhead is something that is used widely within the community. From your perspective, what does the term actually mean? What is a sneakerhead?
Yeah, I feel like it keeps changing, right? Like 2018, you would have said that it was all the hype beasts and stuff. Now people probably would see a sneakerhead as somebody that's wearing Adidas Sambas and New Balances. It very much changes with trends, but for me, a sneakerhead is just somebody that enjoys the community, enjoys the shoes. It doesn't matter how many pairs you have. If you just enjoy the aesthetic, the design, the storytelling, that's enough for you to be a sneakerhead. And then if you're part of that community, of course, then you're more than welcome. Like, it doesn't matter if you have hype or not. I know plenty of sneakerheads with just GRs and have an amazing collection of GRs. And yeah, just people that buy what they like and rock what they like.
Love that. And with that being said, Giulia Zecchini, are you a sneakerhead?
Yeah, I think I have a unhealthy obsession, so probably.
For real. And you know what? In addition to that admission, I will bestow upon you the highest honor that I have available to me, and say that you are Kicks Chronicles certified.
Thank you.
Sneakerhead.
I will accept.
Absolutely.
My crown.
You accept the honor that has been bestowed upon you. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. It's been a little bit of time in the making, but you've been like great to sort of speak with online, and to sort of, you've been really, really cool. I know you're really, really busy. About 5-6 million people are going to watch this, so you might want to tell them some stuff about yourself.
Casual.
How can people get in contact with you? Do you have anything coming up that you want people to be aware of? Let the people know what's going on.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at GiuliaZ12. The spelling's a little funky, but I'm sure you'll find me. At Sneaker Sisterhood for our community page. You can always get in touch. Same names on TikTok, same names across most platforms. And mostly coming up, if you like basketball or if you're interested in knowing more, I have a good series called WNBA for Dummies, where I teach Europeans a little bit more about the league. But in general, I love talking all things basketball, European, North American, Olympics coming up, all the exciting things. So if you're a fan, I'm a fan, and we can chat.
Love that. I'm slowly becoming more and more of a fan. My wife told me about potentially going to see, I think the women are coming to the O2.
Do it. It's next Tuesday. I'll be there.
Yeah. I think she mentioned it. She's gone into the ballot because I've got a young daughter, and it'd be interesting for her to see some really tall women. So I'm interested. Also because like the fundamentals are really, really strong in the women's game as well. So interested to see if she takes a liking to it. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, the pleasure's literally been all mine. People, if you don't like, comment, subscribe after that, fam, I don't know what to do. Literally, like, guess top of the line. You get me? The banter was bantering. The chat was flowing. Sneaker battles, I'm saying it's out. It's done. Ritz Carter. You get me, man? We've got everything, man. So yeah, continue to like, comment, subscribe. Continue to show your love. Continue to show us love. Make sure to go and light up Giulia's page. And while you're at it, feel free to stop over at mine as well. You get me? Kicks Chronicles on all platforms. I only do with 5-star reviews. Please don't play games with me. Even if you don't like something, throw it under a 5-star and let's have a chat. You get me, man? But yeah, this has been absolutely sick. Thank you so much for your time once again, Giulia. And guys, yeah, until I see you, man, down the road, everyone look after yourself and stay blessed. Yeah. You caught me with the peace sign, bro. I can't believe I just did that at my age. Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicks Chronicles. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, and all that good stuff.
And remember, full video version is available on YouTube, audio versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.